Everybody, this is Toby Eunice with the Gypsy Kiss. Stick with us a couple of seconds, and we've got a really fun panel coming up for you this evening. You know, every time I see that logo and it makes that booming sound at the end, it just starts off my evening. So we've got a great panel this evening. We're going to keep up the theme from this week, and we're going to talk about what we'll do when it is announced that the treasure has been found and it's not us. And you have a number of ways to communicate with me and the panel. One way, of course, is in the chat room. Shelley Kearney is here, not moderating, but producing in the chat room. And also, if you want to make sure that your question gets asked and that I see it because I can't watch all the windows that are in front of me, send it to the 1-800 number, 1-800-947-1043. That number is right here above my head. Send a text message. The voice lines are not on tonight because I don't want to slow the panel down, but you can send a text message if you have a question or a comment relating to tonight's topic, okay? So I'm going to do this in a couple of steps. So the first thing I want to do is have everyone introduce themselves and let you know where they can be found on the internet. And then I want to give Christy just a few minutes to talk about the new coin project because it's been very busy since she announced it on Monday. So we want to talk about that a little bit. So let's start with introductions. And I always say that I appreciate Jonathan being here because he's calling in from the UK, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning there. And as a matter of fact, we were exchanging emails this afternoon, and he said, I'll see you tomorrow morning. And I thought, oh, damn, he forgot he was going to be. And then I realized, no, he knows he's going to be on. It's just going to be 2 o'clock in the morning. So, Jono, let's start off with you. Make your introductions, and where can folks find you?
Yeah, I'm Jono Jones. If I fall asleep halfway through, I do apologise. I'm a Brit Chaser on YouTube and on Hint of Riches.
Thank you, sir. Sean Martinez.
Sean Martinez from New Mexico. You can find me at Figuring Out Forrest on YouTube, Facebook, or at Gmail.
Thank you. Rodney?
Rodney Greenway. My YouTube channel is Rodney Greenway, and you can reach me at email at fentreasurethoughts@gmail.com.
I like that a lot. Christy?
Hint of Riches for the forum, Raven's Nest for YouTube, and I'm starting into Facebook, and oh my, I'm Chris Thor over there, so I'm dabbling in that, but just getting used to it. So
I am going with Raven's Nest. And last but not least, my happy birthday partner, Shelley Kearney.
Hello, I'm Shelley Kearney with the Gypsy Kiss, and I also have my own channel, thesofterside.me. And Toby and I will be live once again tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock, and I hope you'll join us then.
And what are we talking about tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night is about emotional intelligence in relationships.
You sure you want me in on that conversation?
I was doing the research today, and I found out that you are one of the most emotionally intelligent people I know.
Oh, shucks, you're just saying that.
No, it's true.
Well, happy birthday. And for anyone that would like to give Shelley a happy birthday present, now would be a good time to go over to her channel, The Softer Side with Shelley Kearney, and subscribe. That'll be good. So, okay. So before we proceed with tonight's commentary, I wanted to go back to Christy. And Christy, why don't you spend a couple of minutes talking to us about the coin project that you announced on Monday, and what's happened since then, and maybe the things that you've had to take care of as a result.
Yes. So for those of you that weren't there, here we go. We all know the copper coin. Whoa, what happened? We now have a silver-plated coin. Some people were confused. They're like, silver, how much is it worth? Thousands of dollars. No, it's just like the other one. So it's the one big difference is it's our 2019 coin. So the idea is we made 50 of these up, and they are numbered. There's I think you can see number 1, I hope, but maybe not with anyway, these are numbered. So we're going to be, I've kind of wrangled in a team, Cynthia and the AGK team and Mike. And we're going to be throughout the off season, but really at the end of the off season when it's really safe for us to do, we will be hiding them throughout the Rockies, and there might be a development there, which I'll talk about in a minute. But we thought, wouldn't it be cool if when you go boots on the ground and that walk of shame, you might be able to get a coin. The coins became so collectible so quick rather than people handing them out there. So I approached Forrest and said, what if there's absolutely no profit to be made? We get these out there and just make it something fun for the beginning of the 2019 season. He loved the idea. I approached AGK. They love the idea. Cynthia loved the idea. Everybody seems to love the idea. So the idea is these will get out, and then each week we will say, okay, this is, maybe it's not the number. We're still working that out. Mike and I disagree. And so, but the coin is out, and here's the state and a picture of the location, and then maybe a couple hints that week. But the idea is they would be out there more than 2 weeks once we start announcing it. So the one big development I will say, I've been asking for feedback, and I will say this is the closest to hate mail I've gotten, is you live on the East Coast. How can you not include us? What do you mean? And several people wrote for us. There was a lot of discussion about different states. I'm up for listening to that. I've heard it a lot though. So I hear you, community. Too many people were like, my state's out, there's no way I can get there in time. And if you put it out, and so is there anything you could do for those of us outside the search locations? I will consider the continental US. So that may be a development. I'm going to try to figure it out, but I've gotten tons of emails. So that's going to be at the first. And, Mike's like, hey, I'm in Nevada. Is one going to go in Nevada? And it's like, well, we didn't initially think that, but since we got so much feedback, maybe this could be a fun way to include the other states. So still, it's a work in progress. The whole reason we did it so early is to get your feedback. So I think a majority will definitely be in the Rockies, but if a few of them hit some other states, why not? That could be fun. So we're hearing you, but so the idea 4 through, so number 1 is going to go to Forrest. Number 2 is going to be a surprise. We're going to announce later what number 2 is going to. And number 3 is going to Rick McDonald, who designed the original copper coin. We use that. And so 4 through 50 will go out. Some people have asked if 47 is a hint. It's truly not, please. So 50 was the minimum order, and 1, 2, and 3 went out. That is how we calculated 47. It is not a super secret hint. So I think I quashed that over on Facebook. Some people were wondering if 47 is the new way to solve the poem. No.
And I do want folks to know that you paid for these out of your own pocket.
I did. So these came out of my pocket. Forrest really gave us permission. And I say us just as I say the community, but gave me permission. And again, since I see him in the room, thank you, Eric. I accidentally sent Eric all this information a month ago because the guy at the coin place was named Eric, and Eric kept a secret. You are awesome. I love you. So yes, I paid for them. I thought we'll get more fun out of it than the cost. So yes, the cost is mine. Forrest approved, Mike approved. He's the one that kind of launched this with the design and all that. So we got all the right approvals, all the right, things going, and now it's just going to be fun.
Great. I hope. Well, congratulations. I think it's a great project, and I know that you're going to give some to Gypsy's Kiss for us to distribute. The plan had been to go north through the Rockies all the way up into Montana, but we could just as easily make a circle that could include some other states. We'll leave that up to you, and if you feel like you're getting enough input from folks outside the search area, we can stretch it out into kind of a loop that goes east and then comes back west. So I don't mind that. We're going to make the trip nonetheless, and we're going to make videos and live streams along the way. So, okay, let's get back to where we started on the day. First of all, well done. That was a really good idea, and I'm glad Fenn approved it. I thought you convincing him to do that was really good, and I think it's good that he considered it.
Well, the idea came from you guys with the skull and all that happened, and then it happened on Jamie's drawing day. I mean, that's where the idea came from. So it was we were just happening to chat. So Never
Well-
know where ideas come from.
Well, good. I'm glad that we have. I'm glad we're involved. I love the idea that we're involved. Okay, so for those of you that haven't seen my video from Tuesday, you are aware that I've been trying to maintain a consistent theme throughout the week, and the theme for this week was what we'll do when the treasure is found, and unfortunately, we won't be the one that finds it. And so I set a bunch of criteria, and these guys have all seen that video. They know the criteria. So I thought I'd bring them in and get some varied opinions on exactly the same topic. So that's what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to start my questioning of the panel with them setting the scenario. I want them. So we're all by nature storytellers, and each of us has a story that we want to tell, and we've all probably thought about this. I mean, I think we spend more time probably thinking of what it will be like when we find the treasure and what we're going to have to do and our anonymity and where the location is and how we're going to monetize it if we're going to monetize it. You know, we've all thought about that. I think to a lesser extent, we've thought about, well, what happens? How am I going to feel when the treasure is found? And there's a lot of scenarios, a lot of ways, both before Fenn's passing and after Fenn's passing, of what it's going to be like when it's going to be found. So the first question, I'm going to start with you, Jonah. How do you visualize the moment that the treasure is found? Tell me how you see that story. What are the conditions? What's the person that found it like? What's Fenn dealing with if he's still around? Tell me your story of the day the treasure is found.
I think it's going to play out over quite a long period of time. It's more likely to anyway. So if you look at where you've seen many people over the years declare that they found it, clearly they haven't. Clearly there's a lot of negativity. There's a demand for proof.
Mhm.
So I think that if proof isn't there at the start, it would be treated in exactly the same way. It for me depends on whether the information on it coming out comes through Fenn or through the media. So if it's through the media and they seek to get money out of this, then they may hold back evidence, and that will antagonize the community in the same way. If it's through Fenn, I like to think that he's thought through his role many times, and as a result, he'll be very clear on how he might handle that in a way that doesn't antagonize the community so much. I suspect, though, it'll probably be messy. It'll start with rumors. I think some people will perhaps hold it back, even if they tell Fenn, but they may tell a few people. It'd be very, very tough to keep that secret, so it'll probably leak out, and it'll start to become very, rumor based, and people start hearing noise about someone's found something, and then again, people become antagonized. So I think there's a real danger, unless perhaps there almost needs to be a code of conduct of how it might be done in a nice way for the community. But there is a danger that it could be messy. I think when it eventually comes out, it'll affect people in different ways, I guess. If people have been heavily invested, there'll be a sense of disappointment with some people, I guess. But hopefully, the majority of people, see it for the game it is and the fun it should be, and think about what they're going to do next.
So in your scenario, is Fenn alive or has passed?
I think Fenn would want this to happen while he's still here. I think at the start he perhaps wanted to have it last a bit longer, especially opening things up to be clear that it's in the Rockies. That to me says that he wanted it to last longer. I think he'd enjoy seeing it happen. If it doesn't happen when he's here, I think it opens a whole can of worms of how long people stay with it and the likes.
And we're gonna talk about that in just a few minutes, and I'm gonna come back to you, and I want you to reserve the response to. I want to know more about how you're going to feel personally, but I'll come back for that question because I'm going to make another round. Sean Martinez, describe your Finder's Day to me, please.
Well, I believe it depends on the type of individual who does locate the chest. In one hand, you'll have those who probably can't get back home with the chest before they've either told someone, blasted it on social media, uploaded a video, photographs, any number of those things, which I believe is very possible. There's that scenario, that individual who will be coming out with it very quickly, immediately, very excited, perhaps overwhelmed with the thought that they found it themselves, and not really processing how they should. I mean, even if they did have a game plan beforehand, that may go out the window once it's found, depending on the individual. On the other hand, you have those who would stick to any game plan they have, should they find it, and perhaps have that mapped out over a period of hours, days, weeks, or months, or indefinitely, should they choose not to tell anyone at all. I mean, you have those different scenarios depending on the type of person who locates the chest. I do know that I believe Forrest has stated the type of person who finds this chest. Now, that's not a quote, but I believe I recall him stating something to that effect, that he visualizes a certain type of person that will find the chest. So that being the case, I believe that it's really depends on the individual. Now, I hope it's found in his lifetime, just considering the effects it would have for him, and seeing how many people are in the community now, how much time has been invested, how many families have gone searching, how many situations have exploded in different people's families because of the Forrest Fenn treasure search. But for me, it's kind of up in the air. I know what I would do, but it's hard to say, depending on the thousands of different types of people, how they would respond should they find it.
We're going to talk about that as well. So
Sure.
Keep that idea, and then I'll come back with you, and I'm going to ask you to describe how you think you're going to feel. We'll make that round in just a minute. Rodney, tell me about the day that the treasure is found and it's not you.
So this is a thought that I try to ignore as much as possible. I try not to even think about it. And every day I get on, YouTube or something, and hey, important announcement, I'm like, oh man, this is the day. So I try to ignore it.
It's just a podcast, damn it.
But as much as I'd like to think that it's going to happen during Fenn's time, I just look at the history of how it's gone so far and the progress or lack of progress that's made. And Fenn says he designed it to be tough, and he even said, hey, it could be 1,000 years from now. So I'm pretty confident that he hit it pretty good, and it's probably going to take us a while to figure it out. I want to believe that there's a process set in place that would make it known to the searchers. Fenn had always said, if it's found, I will let you guys know. But he also was saying the type of person that finds it won't be the type that can stay quiet about it. So maybe that's because they called up him or they emailed him and then he informed us, or maybe it's some other form of process or something. But he always stuck to his word on that. So that kind of makes me wonder if there's something set in place for after the fact. Because remember, he tried to think of everything. And the other thing is, there's nothing in that chest that is able to spend now. It all has to be sold in order for profit. So,
right.
You might start seeing coins out on the market or something. The buyer could stay, or the finder could stay anonymous, but one way or another, we're either going to see stuff start popping up that's of questionable origin if all of a sudden the market's just flooded with gold coins or, Egyptian gold carvings,
Right.
then I think we'll have an idea. But, it could be, he made an anonymous video, from a different IP address, or, even some sort of, legal documentation to be filled out or whatever. That's something that I would want to protect by, I might not want to come out and say, hey, it was me, but I'd want to give the courtesy to the search community, but two, you're going to have to do some sort of documentation on what you found in order to protect it.
Right. That's right. All right, Christy, your turn. What does your Finder's Day look like?
So I check my email every morning. I don't know if Rodney knows this, but Forrest has explained to me that he will be announcing when the treasure chest is found to me to put on Thor. So I check my email every morning, and sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night thinking, oh, okay, is it there? It's not, but that'll be the day that it says, I'm sure there's some magnificent quote he's already has prepared that says basically, or maybe it just says, it's been found. I don't know. But I will put that up on Thor. Everyone's mind will explode and word will get out in, 2 seconds.
Mhm.
Right.
I believe it will be a searcher that is somewhat known, or at least knows the community well enough that they're going to try to keep quiet. But then I believe there will be lots of
Okay.
people saying, it's me, that was actually me, I told him. And there'll be, we already have at least 20 that say they found it. There will be 500 that day that say, well, or kind of coy or that kind of thing. And then I think it will be a interesting time to see if they do come out. I think it'll be relatively short in what was your solve, etc. If they do decide not to, and Forrest has said that if they don't want to come forward with their solve and their name, he won't make them. I think if they don't, it'll be much more painful. But this sounds crazy. Once I lost my last solve, I'm at a point right now where I kind of like to hear the solve. As long as the solve gets out there, I won't be terribly disappointed. This has been such a fun ride, and it's been so great meeting everybody. But we're in year 8. I'm up for it not being. I think it will be when Forrest is alive, but I don't think it's going to be in the super near future. So that's. But I'll be. Oh, and then I'll be. Yes, tell me more. I want to know more. And so I'll be. I think it'll be bittersweet, but the bitter won't be that long. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be fun to talk about, and then everybody that's been cryptic for so long, you can finally put out your solves and not worry about what state you're in giving it away. I mean, I think we'll have some banter for a while.
Yeah, that's kind of why we're planning ahead by sharing our solutions with everybody in pictures and videos and things like that. All right, before I go to the next round of questioning, for those of you in the chat room, remember, and I've already got a couple that I've got to deal with, but remember that if you want your question read out loud on the air, send it to 800-947-1043, and it'll pop up on my cell phone right in front of me. I'll make sure it gets read. Make sure you include your name and from which state you're calling, and I will make sure that it gets read if it relates to tonight's topic. And then, secondly, I was going to ask you to do something else, but let's go on with it. Let me go on with the question. It'll hit me. So, Jonah, back to the question. Let's talk about personal experiences. Let's say whether he's alive or has passed, the treasure has been found. You get a notification on the Hint of Riches with an announcement, and there's some form of evidence indicating that the person brought forward. KPRO releases whatever information that the finder has agreed with Fenn to release, and it's on the Hint of Riches, and then it migrates over to a Gypsy's Kiss, and we spread it throughout our sets of platforms. So let's make it personal now. That's what I was going to ask the chat room. Did I already ask them to? So in the chat room, what I would like you to do is I would like you in 5 words or less to describe the emotions you think you're going to experience on the day you discover or find out that the treasure's been found. So just 5 words or less. I mean, if you want to express more because you feel like you have to express more, fine. But in around 5 words, tell me what emotions you think you're going to experience on the day you find out the treasure is found and it's not you. That's the only condition, all right? Jono, so let's go back and make this personal. What's that day going to be like for you? What emotions are you going to be experiencing when the treasure's found and it's not you?
So I guess the insight I have to that is every time I see a special announcement, I have a bit of a reaction. I think, oh, here we go, someone's found it, and there is that sense of, oh, that'd be a bugger, wouldn't it? So I think that's probably how I'd feel. I mean, I've been working on this since the start of the year, and since we came back from the US, it's pretty much my main hobby. Get the kids to bed, bit of time with the missus, and then so there's a lot of effort going into it. So for me, the more and more that gets put into that, over the winter months, have another go next summer. If that goes on for many years, then that's going to increase that bad feeling, I guess, and that initial reaction. But I often think, really, I just want it solved. So the thought of it going on for many years, I'm not sure I like that. So for me, this is me trying my damnedest to solve it so it is over sooner. That sounds bad, doesn't it? But I think there will be a sense of disappointment, but I don't think it would get to that point where I'm so invested that I'm distraught or anything like that.
Well, so based on the email exchange that you and I had today, I was hoping to see you in New Mexico. So I'm hoping that you and your family, if it is recovered and it isn't, you do get to New Mexico so that we can visit. All right?
Yeah.
Sean Martinez, tell me kind of what the emotions you're going to experience when you find out that the treasure's been found.
Well, one of the things that I've thought about is how I will respond. And, the first thing that came to my mind initially was, how do we respond when, like, all of us have played possibly the lottery and bought that one lottery ticket when it gets way up there and we think, hey, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. And you may think that you're going to win, but then you read the numbers the next day and it wasn't you, but it was someone else. So my initial thought process is that I will respond the same way. Lottery ticket just goes in the trash and move on with life. And, it didn't take too much out of me. However, part of me would want to know a lot more about it, get answers to a lot of the questions, see how close I actually was in my solutions, or possibly even the same location. I just missed it. All of those questions I would have for the finder. People, like I said before, people respond differently. So I guess it really depends on when it happens, how it happens, and the process of that. I think it's really important for people to prepare for it going in. That's a good idea. That, hey, this is fun, and understand that if you did go boots on the ground, you did get a treasure out of it. And if you didn't, you still did. You had fun with it. It was time exploring maps and riddles and, putting things together. And, so my response would initially be one of joy myself that it was found. But, in the past, working it as I have been as a case that I'm trying to solve, there have been cases I've worked in the past where I was head to head with another detective, and whoever could get the breakthrough or the lead first solve this case. And there have been times where I came in second on that, or third, or further back. And I believe it would be a similar feeling that, you put all this work and effort into it, and somebody else got to the finish line before you did and cleared the case. So.
Before I go to you, Rodney, I want to take some of what Sean just said and maybe encapsulate it, because it sounded to me like a really good idea. And that is, first of all, the comparison to the lottery ticket, because I'm the same way. I buy a lottery ticket, I don't win, boom, it goes in the trash, and I wait for the next one that I'm going to buy. But Sean elaborated upon that, and what he effectively said is that there's a second place in all of this. It may not be that particular treasure, but I have to admit that over the past 5 years that I've been involved in this, I've learned an amazing amount. I've explored amazing places. I've spent time with my best friends. I've enjoyed nature in a way, honestly, that I have never enjoyed it. Although I've always been out in nature, I've never enjoyed it as much as I have now. And I have a reason to wake up in the morning. So there's this wonderful second place with all this, if I don't find it, that leaves me with all these wonderful and pleasant and enjoyable memories, and kind of that's gonna help me get through this. And then I have the problem about figuring out with Shelley what our next YouTube channel is going to be. That's a different question. Rodney, tell me what kind of emotions a former or no, current Ranger training guy in the military. What kind of emotions are you going to experience on that day?
I'd like to say that I'm mentally resilient, but I'm gonna be soul crushed. Like I said, I try not to think about it, and I honestly haven't even thought about it until you said, hey, review yesterday's video before you come on the show, and then that got me thinking. I'm like, oh, like I'm glad I've steered clear of these thoughts up until right now when it all pops in my head.
So it was soul crushing. I didn't mean to make it soul crushing. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, eventually, like, it's one of those things that you'll get over it. But at first, I probably won't believe it. I'm one of the people that, that you guys were talking about at the beginning of, proof for it didn't happen. And then even after people post up proof, I'm gonna be like, oh, it's some sort of conspiracy. It's a prank. It's a prank box. And like, unless I heard it from Forrest Mouth himself, I would have a very hard time believing it. Even then, I'm like, oh, somebody got to him. But yeah, I'd obviously be like extremely frustrated. And then, do the whole like, could I have done more? Could I have gone boots on the ground more? Was it anywhere that I was close to? Because, with a lottery ticket, you pick numbers and that's it. You're like,
right.
Hopefully they're my lucky numbers. I have poured, and I haven't even been in this for very long, and I've poured hundreds upon hundreds of hours into just researching stuff that I would never look at before. And it might be, good information, but it's still, if anything, this chase has brought me closer to my electronics because I'm always looking at stuff. So it would definitely, I did get a good trip out of it. I went to Yellowstone. I went, Montana, Utah, Colorado. I had a great big long 10-day journey, but between the hours researching it, the time spent on it, and the dedication put into it, it would definitely be a hard pill to swallow for sure.
But you're going to end up thinking about this period in your life in a positive way.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm going to be able to, tell my grandkids or even my daughters, because they've gotten involved into it a little bit, that they'll get to talk about it with their kids of like, hey, your grandpa went to go hunt for
search for a treasure. Exactly. Yeah.
So it has a cool aspect of it. It's even cooler if you get to be the one that finds it. But, on the other side, like I've said in a lot of my videos, like as of right now, I'm more dedicated to the solve than I am to. I'm more concerned about the solve than actually finding the treasure. Like now, it's something that I can't quit. Like I have to figure it out. That gnaws at me. Obviously, the money or the value of the chest would be awesome, but I mean, I'm just the riddle drives me nuts. So. In a good way.
That's part of what he intended to do. Christy, what kind of emotions are you going to experience? Because you're a pretty emotional person anyway. So what kind of things are you going to... And Shelley, I see your hand up. I'll come back to you for questions out of the chat room. So what do you think you're going to experience on that day?
I'm going to put best case scenario forward. It is out directly from Forrest, and we have who got it, which is some wonderful person like Cynthia that's been out and dedicated person, and we have the solve. And Mike asked the question of, would you want it found in like close to your search location? No, it's completely it's in Colorado. It's in a completely different area. I had no chance. I don't want it found 20 feet from where I would stand.
Right, that's going to be more painful. Yeah.
And then I will put in my mind, I'm very competitive. Second place is first loser. I will probably, someone said in there, drink heavily, probably a little bit. And then we'll start planning the final party that we're all going to go to and bring all of our Forrest stuff that we no longer want. And that'll be in the poker tournament. I know we'll have some big party. And then, of course, it's going to be just like boots on the ground. There's a crash. And then there's recovery. So the crash will definitely be there. There's going to be that emotion, but then it's going to be awesome because there's going to be a huge party, and Cynthia will tell us where exactly she found.
I always have this vision that the finder will contact Shelley and I and saying, listen, I want to be on your show to announce it, or I want to just be there to answer questions from everybody. So whoever does find it, I want you to know, although CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, and all the other news, the media, members of the media will be knocking down your door to get this story. Just volunteer to come on A Gypsy's Kiss for one afternoon, and we will open up the 1-800 number so people can call and ask questions, because I think that would be a really fun day. Shelley, let's go back to you, and you've got some questions from the chat room.
I do. First, I would like to say thank you to Paul Ammons for he sent some super chat in for my birthday. So thank you.
Oh, happy birthday.
And of course, Alan Kay and Britt Chaser, Jono has, they already donated this afternoon to my birthday. So I appreciate them as well.
Signing up quick here.
Okay. So Joel Lewicki was asked about his boots on the ground, and I found this fascinating. He said, I think I had a very significant breakthrough on my way to New Mexico now, and that has to do with things very formative as a youth and corresponding things in New Mexico. Need to use your imagination. So it sounds like Joel Lewicki is on his way to New Mexico. I found that fascinating.
Wow. Mr. Minnesota on his way to New Mexico, huh? Well,
That's
Joel,
right.
of course, when you get here, please let us know. We're not in northern New Mexico, but we're not far from northern New Mexico. So make sure you let us know so we can get together for some lunch and some pictures, and maybe even an It's All Live, It's All About You interview right here in a Gypsy's Kiss Command Center, my living room. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. That's a big thing for him. I mean, to do New Mexico, huh?
And we have a comment from Cal Lasers.
Hey.
He says, he said, Forrest told me that we should call him Forrest, not Fenn.
Oh.
So everybody is now aware in
Shame.
the chat room that we're supposed to call him Forrest. So I guess we'll start doing that. Make sure we do that.
Well, that has to. I always feel like he's thinking about me when he makes those comments, because I do refer to him as Fenn. So I will start. I will start calling him.
I'm right in the middle of a hurricane.
Oh,
right
okay,
now.
all right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Headed our way too. All the schools are shut down tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Boy.
Well, we'll talk about that more in just a little bit, because I want to get because I just saw Odious Soul is in Miami Beach, and that they've got to be feeling some of that weather as well. So go ahead with your question, Shelley.
The last one was Cal Lasers again wanted to know, and Christy already answered this one, but he wants the panel to answer. If it is found, the treasure is found, would you rather it have been close to the location of your searches or far, far away?
I think that's a good question. Now, I do have a couple of questions on the 1-800 number, but and I do have another question based on the kind of the personal thing. But let's answer that, Jono. So let's assume in the ideal scenario that Christy described, that Fenn is alive. He makes the announcement. He has the evidence. The person is willing to be identified, and they're willing to share where they found it. And I think I want to make a distinction between the solution, how they got there, right? Because we're all hoping that it's not some millennial that stumbles over it, on a hike, but how they got there, and versus exactly the spot that they found it. It was at Ojo Caliente in around Yellowstone, right? So let's answer that question, Jono, and give me some detail. Would you prefer it was close to where you've been looking or not close?
I think it depends. So I'd be really intrigued what the solve is. If it's close to the solve I'm looking at now, I'm really heavily invested in. I'd want to know which bits I got wrong, and I'd be intrigued if it was the route I intend to go on, and I've just missed it. I'm going to be absolutely gutted.
Interesting. Sean Martinez?
It's something to think about.
That is a non-answer, Sean Martinez.
I know
So-
it's a non-answer.
So would you rather the
You know what?
solution
You know
be
what?
closer
Okay.
to you or further away?
I understand. It's New Mexico. I would be okay with that. you
If
know?
it was in New
Um,
Mexico.
If it was New Mexico, then I would be perfectly fine with the finder being someone who came to New Mexico or was either from New Mexico, either one.
Mhm.
But if it was any of the other states and I was that far away from it, in my investigation into Fenn, then it'd be a little harder to take, because I think all the information I've collected and gathered and put together up to this point has led me to New Mexico. And if it is somewhere else, that'd be tough to swallow that I was that far away from where it was actually found. And that's why it took me a minute to really think about that and chew on it for a second, because I had to ask myself, okay, it was found in Yellowstone. And
Right.
of course, I'm not even thinking about Yellowstone right now,
Right.
just based on my investigation into the search.
So the bottom line in this case, if it was found in Yellowstone, you'd be saying to yourself, "How did I manage to miss it by that
How
much?"
did I miss that? Every time I filter the Yellowstone information,
Right.
it always leads me back to New Mexico. So it's very interesting that I believe it was in the chat that Joel is heading to New Mexico.
Yeah.
Good on you, Joel.
Yeah, good
on
idea. So if it's found in Yellowstone, I am going to have to eat a humble pie that big.
Bigger.
Yeah, bigger. Rodney, so what would you like the sol to be? Close to where you're looking at, or as far away as possible?
Yeah, at first, I thought like, heck no, I wouldn't want it to be close, but that would almost be a little bit of satisfaction knowing, but then that's gonna eat you up that much more. like I was right there, or I've been looking at that, but at the same time, you're also confirming that you were right, because you might have had a solve and you just haven't been able to get boots on the ground or something.
Mhm.
So like, damn, if only I would have quit my job 1 week sooner. But yeah, I think I would want to know, just because, especially like if it's one of those situations where they don't make the solve public, that's definitely when I would really want to know. Like, was it at a spot that I was looking for?
Uh-huh. But you wanted to be closer to your spot than further away. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I would want to, just to. Well, I mean, either way, knowing is knowing. But if the solve comes out and and you get told the exact spot and come to find out, that's the area you've been concentrating on, like it would eat me up. But it's definitely something I would want to know for sure.
Yeah, Christy, you want it to be?
I said it before. I'd like it to be far away, but here's the thing: I want to know what state it's in, because if it's in Colorado, I'm not going to be happy. I just want to know that piece, and I want to know if it's in one of the 47 areas that we're going to be putting
the other coins. Wouldn't that be fun? So somebody, I was going over the chat from our room the other night, and somebody said, "Wouldn't it be interesting if, when they were looking for one of the silver coins, they found the treasure?" And my reaction was, "No, that would not be interesting."
What
if you were hiding one, Toby?
Yeah.
Wait, hang on, Rodney, hang on. What were you going to say, Christy? And I'll come back to you, Rodney. What?
I think we're going to say the same thing. As you're hiding one, Toby or Shelley, wouldn't it be interesting? Shelley's putting it in its spot and goes, "Hey, Toby, can you guys come over here?"
Yeah.
And there's the chest.
Yeah. Look, is this anything? It's a box, Oh, what were you going to say, Rod?
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, you're essentially going to 47 locations in the Rocky Mountains. I mean, that's like, that's a pretty big scattered freaking plan right there. So.
Well, and also Shelley and I, our plan for the coins that we get are to put them in areas that have been popular with the search community. So yeah, it could very well be. So I would rather have it further away. I would rather feel bad about eating the humble pie kind of thing than knowing that Jack Selvage went back to the Rio de los Pinos, walked the 1 mile from our launching point to the beginning of the Toltec Gorge, and looked at that rock that Kevin jumped across and found it on the other side of the river there. That would make me crazy. That would definitely make me crazy. Shelley, have you got a question from the room?
I do. Let's see. We have a question from Michael Houle.
Oh,
for the
from
panel.
Tokyo. Wow.
Yeah.
We've got people from the UK and folks from Tokyo in the chat room tonight. That's kind of neat. Okay, go ahead.
He says, do you regard the treasure hunt more as a lottery, as a challenge, or as a competition?
Oh, interesting question. He and I have had discussions about this. So, Jono, for you, is it a lottery, a challenge, or a competition?
I think it's a challenge, but with a ticking timer on it as well.
Yeah. You've got to beat somebody to it. Sean Martinez, what do you think? Lottery, challenge, or competition?
A competition and we all have numbers. It just depends. I like to see that both ways. The competition, considering if we take into account and believe what Fenn said, that 350,000 searchers are looking for this chest, it puts it more into that lottery camp. Statistically, your chances of finding it are what? Opposed to the challenge, which means it's up for grabs by anyone, depending on whose boots on the ground, who's actually searching, legitimately out there searching for it, opposed to not, and investigating behind your computer, in libraries, going to locations that may contain information that is specific to your solution area or things Fenn has said. I believe that increases your chances. So a challenge with a ticket. I like to.
Yeah. That's interesting.
We've all picked up our own ticket, and we can decide to toss it or continue with it and see what the outcome is.
So, Rodney, you have the benefit of their two responses: challenge, competition, or lottery.
It is a race for imagination.
Oh, wow. Very nice. I'm going to write that down because I'm going to write a book on that.
I would definitely say it's a challenge, because obviously there are a lot of people competing, but I'm not in it for the other people or going against the other people. Obviously, I'll feel bad if somebody else is before me, but
right.
Like I said, this is a challenge. This is like a mental challenge against myself. It's a race against myself to figure it out, but also to figure it out before somebody else.
Right, before somebody else does. Yeah. Christy?
I would consider it a challenge more than a competition.
All right. Christy? Lottery, challenge, or competition?
I'm going to agree with Rodney. I think even though it is a competition, because only one person can win at the end of the day, I don't think it's as random as a lottery. So I'm going to say it's a challenge. And I will go a little bit astray, though. This is a challenge against Forrest Fenn. So I think this is why I say we've been playing it 8 years his way. So he has challenged us, and he says think outside the box and those sorts of things. I think we're going to win this challenge if that one person is when they do it different and they beat him. So we've got to beat him. That's this off season. We're going to figure that out.
So I'm going to take a little bit of each of those because my reaction since I first found out about the treasure hunt was that it was an intellectual challenge established by Fenn, Forrest. And so I'm going to have to break this terrible habit now. So I saw it as an intellectual challenge, and I took it as that. I have treated it like that. I do have a sense sometimes that it's a little bit like a lottery, and if you look at it, but you know what? I've never felt like it was a competition. I know perhaps there's a bit of competitiveness in that we're each trying to beat one another there, but I haven't had that sense of competition that I did, when I played sports, when I experienced competition, or when I coached sports. So for me, it's the challenge, and then a little bit more like, is my solution as good a lottery ticket as anybody else's? But I've never felt like it was a competition. So I promised folks that I was going to ask their questions if they called in. I've got a really interesting question, as usual, from Minotaur Moreno, Justin from Dallas, Texas. He says, hey, Toby, long-time listener, fourth-time texter. That's cute. To everyone, if and Christy, I'm going to start with you on this one. We'll go the opposite way. To everyone, if Forrest passes and it hasn't been found, in your opinion, what will be the best way for him to combat the inevitable run on people coming out with fake chests saying they have found it and here it is? I'm hanging up and listening. It's a text message, but he's going to do that. So how do we combat that, Christy? Because he's right. It's inevitable. What do we do as a community? And I think we also have to assume that let's make the assumption that Forrest hasn't actually done something that would prevent that from happening. I don't think he has that kind of control. Let's assume he hasn't done that. How do we deal with that, Christy?
Yeah, I think a little bit of what you guys say, but I'm going to say it a little bit more like pictures or it didn't happen now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it one step further after he passes, because I think some people know there was a fake chest made and they tried to trick him and all of that. So I think that's already happened. And I think it caused a lot of ruckus in the community. I'm going to say everybody can say they have it until there's actual evidence. And that could be items in an auction that are from there. There's something out there that shows proof. It's not going to be, pictures are not going to be enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think every person that says they found it, but they can't say this or they can't put pictures out because of that, then it didn't happen. And so I do think we're going to lose, I would say at least 90% of the community when Forrest passes.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
wow,
thought.
That's a big number.
And I think it's because people, Forrest has said, and I've actually had some discussion with him about, are you sure you don't want to put someone in charge of something for that confirmation? Because it is going to be tough when you see this. We already have this many people coming out now, let alone when they come out after he passes. And I've emailed him every time I hear somebody say, I found it. I'll email him and say, did you just not get me the email for Thor? And he's like, no, ignore them. It has not been found. So I think all heck's going to break loose. And I think a lot of people, that's going to be enough for them to just throw up their hands and be done with it.
Okay, Rodney, how are we going to deal with that after Fenn passes and we get these thousands of announcements that I have the treasure?
Pictures, the solve, and Forrest's autobiography or something personal within that can't be replicated.
Right, can't be imitated.
Or imitated. There you go. Or at least not easily, because you'll have a certain authentic look of I'm imagining like what that autobiography looked like that Forrest had put in there. And I feel like, even though I've never seen it, I feel like if I see a fake, I feel like I would know that it's a fake, if that makes sense. Because everything he does, he's done it classy so far.
Right.
A certain artistic touch to, even in his literature, so if his autobiography isn't this, fantastical, has deep meaning with the way that he lays out his words and how it kind of just flows, I'm not going to buy it.
So it kind of makes you wonder if there's not something in that olive jar that's been sealed in addition to his strands of his hair and the autobiography that he put in there for you to be able to prove without a doubt that indeed you are the finder of that treasure. But I have a sense we're just going to get overwhelmed with announcement that I've found the treasure. The number of times that happens now is amazing. Imagine when Fenn passes and what people will do then. So I think that's a good strategy. Sean Martinez, how do we handle it? You're a detective. How do we handle these situations?
It has to be authenticated. You have to be able to show for a fact that this is indeed his chest, the treasure and the contents. Two people can keep a secret if one of them is dead, is a quote from Forrest himself. It's hard for me to believe, even though he has said this, that he's the only one who knows, that he is in fact and indeed the only one who knows.
Mm-hmm.
Should he pass, that one person could keep a secret if he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that is an individual of his choice, who he believes, trusts wholeheartedly, and thinks like Fenn, or if it is a Fenn who takes up the reins on that. And then, Toby, you can continue calling the individual Fenn. It may not be Forrest, but it will still be a Fenn.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily.
No,
He has
there are
daughters
no-
and been married
He
off.
had
know,
he
yeah.
had 2 daughters. They're both married to people with other names. So he's like me. It's the end of the line for. Oh no, I have one baby.
Well,
That's
it would still be his line. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's very curious to me that he's made that statement about keeping secrets, and he's getting close in age. Should he pass, and we have discussed that this evening, what it would look like if he passes or if he's still alive whenever it's found. I'm in a position at this point in my investigation into Forrest Fenn's treasure that they're opposed to what he may say. There's another individual who knows where it's at, and whether the 2.5 million value is of such little significance to them that it's just a fun game.
right.
Then that's a great possibility.
So, Sean, it is not going to help my relationship with Forrest if you keep reminding him that I'm the guy that calls him Fenn.
I do it too, Toby. It depends on the question or the situation.
So, Jono, what's it going to take if somebody claims that they found a treasure?
I think what Chrissy said's right. Someone can fake the chest, and we've seen that they have. It'd be very easy to come up with a story of the things he's put in there that no one knows and claim they are the things. I can see Rodney doing a video lining up images of both chests to make sure it's right practically. I think if Fenn hasn't made provisions, it's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, when he does pass in 50 plus years, you never know, I guess, with Forrest, it would be nice to think that he has put something in place, maybe in the chest. He's paid his lawyers for couple of 100 years to, if you contact them, they'll confirm either way and then release it. But who knows? But yeah, I think it's gonna be very difficult.
Well, here's something to think about. Clint Eastwood just announced another movie, and I thought to myself, Clint Eastwood, that leathery-faced old guy, must be older than dirt. What is he doing making a moment? So I asked Siri, oh, don't do that. I asked Siri, how old is Clint Eastwood? And she said, Clint Eastwood is 88, which is the same age as Forrest. So I guess if Forrest is doing what he's doing, Clint Eastwood could make a movie. So we're getting close to the end of the evening here. So I'm going to finish with one last question from the 800 number. It's Trent from Boston. He's never heard this question asked, he's heard the question asked, but never answered well. If the finder does not reveal, so this is very, very hypothetical, but I want you to answer it. Jonah, I'm going to start with you. If the finder does not reveal the solution and left a second prize for the next person to solve it, what is the minimum that would keep people in the search? 10,000, 25,000, more. So real hypothetical. And honestly, my opinion on the matter is nobody's going to leave anything. But Jonah, what do you think? What would it take for you to keep your interest in the treasure?
I don't think I'd ever believe it. Either way, crikey, I don't think there's any way to prove. So
Did you
I
just say crikey?
Yeah.
That's why I love having the guys from the UK on, because they say fun things. So you don't think anybody's going to do that?
I don't think it's feasible.
What do you think, Sean? What do you think, Sean Martinez?
Well, I've heard a few different numbers thrown around out there: $100,000, $500,000. The chest, just with different contents. A number of things. I believe there are searchers out there who are in it for the thrill of the chase, and should they find out that it's found, I believe that would just give them a ray of hope and excitement that, hey, there's another treasure. It may not be as extensive, but it's something we can do, something that we can pursue, something we can look for. And, in essence, that's what it's all about, the thrill of the chase.
Right.
Being able to have that there. I would have a hard time, should I find it, not replacing the treasure with one of my own.
Right.
And, I know it would upset a lot of people not to share the solution. However, hey, there's another treasure waiting out there. Same poem,
location.
same clues, same location. You don't have to change a lot, but it would be, in essence, continuing the thrill of the chase
Right.
after the chest has been found. So, just the thought of a treasure out there, I think, would be
That's
enough.
fun. Rodney, what would it take? How much would it take, Rod?
Yeah, I metal detect for multiple hours every day, hoping to find silver coins. Usually it's just modern stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, apply that to the Rocky Mountains, and as long as it'll pay for my gas to get out there and back, like, I'm in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. I like your positiveness. It's that resilience thing. Christy, what do you think? How much is it going to take to keep you involved?
Well, this came up in our chat over on the Raven's Nest, and at the time I said nothing. It's like it's over because this is Forrest. But someone like Sean found it and came out and said, I know it's in New Mexico, so it's narrowed it down to a state. And like I knew the searcher and they dedicated their time, and I thought they were a good person, so they're not lying. I might jump into it for, at least have to be 100,000. For me, but I mean, I think it would be interesting, but it would have to have all those ifs. I know the person, I believe them.
Right.
They were somebody I really respected in the community, kind of like a Cynthia, a Sean, a AGK, like those kind of searchers. I think that could be interesting, but there's too many other hunts out there too that we just couldn't jump to a different hunt. So, I mean, part of me would just say, it's over, but then, depending on this, I mean, Sean brought something up tonight that I'm like, well, maybe I'd reconsider that. So for the right person, that could be fun.
For the right person.
Yeah, because then we would be analyzing Sean and like flipping, like we're the investigator of the investigator. That could be fun.
Where would a detective put a dead body?
Then all of these videos would become evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'd all be going back to Sean's YouTube channel to see where he's been. Okay, so all of you, my panel members, thank you very much. Wonderful conversation. I know it's a wonderful conversation because the hour has already passed. That's how I know it was a great conversation. It goes by very, very quickly. So first of all, thank you, panelists, for joining us tonight. We look forward to future panels with future great conversations like this. Thank you, my producer and happy birthday person, Shelley Kearney, and of course, you know how grateful I am to have you as a business partner. And then to our moderators, thanks for being in the room tonight and helping us keep this thing move along as rapidly as it does, with the quality conversation that happens as a result. And for those of you that were in the chat room tonight, we know you have a lot of choices when it comes to how you use your time when you spend it on YouTube, and we really appreciate that you choose to spend it with us. We're very grateful for that. So before I sign off here and go to outro, Jonathan, where can people find you on the internet?
Brit Chaser on YouTube, and my email is jonojones78@gmail.com.
And Jono, thank you very much for being patient with us and continuing to join us on the panel at 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. We hope your family is as understanding. Sean Martinez, where can they find you?
Figuring Out Forrest on YouTube, Figuring Out Forrest Fenn on Facebook, and then the same figuringoutforrest@gmail.com.
If people have questions or comments.
Any questions, any comments, or you want to contact
me?
So
he said a lot of stuff tonight that you need to write him about. Rodney?
Yeah, I'm seeing a whole bunch of names in the chat that I've never seen before, so come check out my YouTube channel. It's Rodney Greenway. The YouTube channel, or the shows are usually titled Fenn Treasure Thoughts. Come check it out, come subscribe to it, and then if you ever want to email me, feel free to do so at fenntreasurethoughts@gmail.com.
And I have to tell folks, we had a large influx of new subscribers as a result of the interview that we did with Sarah Jane last week. She has a YouTube channel where she covers a lot of topics, mostly about travel. But she also had done some Fenn searches and had actually visited with Fenn. And so we got an influx of new folks that joined our channel. So I think some of that activity you're going to see tonight. And I'd like to reiterate what Rod just said. All of the folks on this page have YouTube channels. dedicated to the Fenn treasure hunt. So make sure that you go visit and subscribe to their channels as well, because their content is continuous, and we all look at this from a different perspective, and each one of us has a different reason for establishing this YouTube channel. So please, if you're new not only to A Gypsy's Kiss, go visit the other channels as well. All right. And Christy?
So I have Hidden of Riches, which is a forum that we have lively discussions. About 1,000 people check in. But then the Raven's Nest is Monday nights at 7, and you can see, I don't know, this is my partner in crime there, Calazars.
Hello.
So he's in the room. So so we have a great time, and so hope you will join us on the Raven's Nest on Monday night.
I just need an excuse to do that sound effect. It's just too good. And we had a great, what we did last Monday night is, let's see, Christy and Sean and Gypsy's Kiss and Calazars, we streamed that show to all 4 channels simultaneously. So we had a big, what did you get the final number for the audience that night?
Mike is going to confirm it. I had well, the numbers were over 200, but people jumped from room to room. But we had about 140 make actual comments.
Wow.
Which was amazing. And if you go back, I watched all 4 chats.
Yeah.
And it is amazing how different it's like going into a different bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were very different. Some were serious, some weren't. Some jumped around. So, I mean, that was a fun little experiment. So it was great.
Well, good. I'm glad that we did that. It was a lot of fun, and it gave me the opportunity to take advantage of that $50 a month I'm spending at Restream.io. So, all right. And last but not least, Shelley Kearney.
And I'm Shelley Kearney with the Gypsy's Kiss, and also with the softerside.me. And tomorrow we will be doing the book club, and it's the last little bit of the thrill of the chase. So I hope that you will join us to find out what we're going to do after that. And then tomorrow night, Toby and I will be live on the softer side talking about emotional intelligence. And Friday, in case you missed it earlier today, Friday, I will be the guest on It's All About You, and we're going to be doing that live. So get your questions ready, and I'll be answering questions by text or in the chat room. And then, of course, Friday night is Toby's favorite, the Forrest Fenn Friday Fandango. So make sure you get your questions texted into Toby for that as well.
So we had fun today because we had a live stream announcing our podcasts that we're going to start, that we've already done, and telling everybody. And one of the questions I got was, why doesn't Shelley get it? We want to know more about Shelley. Give her a chance to talk. And I don't normally announce our It's All About You interview, but I felt so bad. And this guy was like, I just want to know more about Shelley. I announced that our It's All About You interview this week is Shelley Kearney. And we're looking forward to it. And she's going to get to talk a lot more than me for a change. So I hope you guys tune in. And it's live, and the text lines will be open so you can ask her questions. And she's promised me that no matter how long it takes, we will answer all the questions. So again, thank you, panel. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, chat room, for joining us tonight. We hope you found this program informative and entertaining, and we look forward to you joining us on future programs like this one. Okay, here we go with an outro.